The offensive line coming into the season was expected to be a strength for the young Packers offense, especially with All-Pro David Bakhtiari coming back healthy for the start of the season. However, there were some injuries that happened to this unit, and some guys stepped up to the plate, and others did not. This is the third video in my yearly series where I go back and look at the Packers and grade each player based on their expectations heading into the season, as well as their overall performance for the season as well. For the offensive linemen, I'm primarily using PFF grades to determine how well they did, as they generally do a good job of watching offensive line film and giving a good breakdown of how they play, especially the guys like me who don't always look at how the O-line does during every single play. The grading scale is as followed. A is for a player that had an all-pro caliber season and way exceeded expectations. B is for a player that had a Pro Bowl caliber season or exceeded expectations. C is for a player that had a solid season and met expectations. D is for a player that had a disappointing season. And F is for players that completely stunk it up. So let's go ahead and get started with second-year player Zach Tom. The second-year pro out of Wake Forest really solidified himself as a key member of the Packers offensive line for years to come. He started all 17 regular season games and both playoff games at right tackle after only appearing in 9 games as a rookie last season, and he played at an above average level in his first season starting. In 1,068 snaps, Tom allowed 33 pressures and only 2 sacks on the season. PFF ranked him as the 15th best tackle in the NFL with an overall grade of 79.7, with a pass block rating of 72.3, and a run block grade of 81.2. He also only committed 3 penalties throughout the year as well. Overall, it was a really good season for Tom, and I'm going to give him a grade of B+, as he took a big step forward in his first season starting, and I expect him to be even better in 2024. Another second-year pro, this time coming out of UCLA, had an interesting season in 2023. He only appeared in 12 games during the year, and it was a weird split snap situation with the incumbent starter Jon Runyan at right guard. He was decent in that role, but didn't grade too highly with PFF. Ryan allowed 5 pressures and 183 snaps played. He got a 51.7 overall grade, with a run grade of 50.2 and a pass grade of 52.5. I'm giving Ryan a grade of C for the 2023 season, as he did show some flashes in his limited playing time, but needs to put in work for this offseason to become a starter for the Packers next year. I expect there to be some competition for him for that starting right guard job in 2024. How is this guy still on the roster? Newman is probably the worst guy to have gotten playing time in the NFL last season, as he did start in 2 games at left guard due to Elgton Jenkins having some injury issues, and he absolutely stunk. In just 183 snaps played, Newman allowed 10 pressures and a sack. His PFF grade for the year was an abysmal 44.3, with a pass block grade of 52.2 and a run block grade of 43.9. I'm giving a Newman a grade of D- for just having another absolutely terrible season. This guy should not be on the roster for next year. That was a rough season for the third-year player out of Ohio State. It was his worst graded season of his career, and he also struggled heavily in pass protection. He gave up 5 sacks, which was the 5th most among centers in the NFL, 28 pressures, and committed 5 penalties this season. His PFF grades overall were 55.8 for overall, pass blocking was 52.7, and run blocking was 55.2. Not a great season for Myers. Overall, I'm giving him a grade of D+, as he was below average, and I fully expect the Packers to bring in competition for his season. It was another solid season for the 2-time Pro Bowler in 2023. He was very consistent along the line, starting in 15 games out of 17, missing a couple due to injuries early on. PFF didn't think too highly of him with his grades, though. Across 903 snaps played, they graded him as a 63.8 overall, 78.3 overall pass blocking grade, which was 6th best among all guards in the NFL, but only a 57.3 run block grade, which brought down his overall grade. He also only committed 4 penalties on the season and allowed 0 sacks, with 23 pressures giving up as well. It was just another solid campaign for Jenkins, who is now the longest tenured starter along the offensive line. I'm giving him a grade of B- for his 2023, as he did play solidly, but not at his absolute best, especially in the run blocking. A surprising starter for the Packers offensive line, Walker ended up being the replacement for David Bakhtiari after he went down with an injury in week 1. And Walker ended up being really solid for the Packers, starting out rough in his first few starts because of his lack of experience being a second-year player drafted out of the 7th round. But by the end of the year, he was really solid, improving in his pass blocking and ended up being graded pretty well by PFF. They gave him an overall grade of 66.4 with a 74.1 pass block grade and a run block grade of 57.9. He did commit 9 penalties and gave up 6 sacks on 33 pressures, but he is such a young player, and most of those came early in the year when he was still adjusting to the role. I'm giving Walker a grade of B+ for the 2023 season because as he played both way more than expected and played better than expected, especially down the stretch on the playoff push. I cannot wait to see the leap that he is going to take in 2024 because I truly do expect him to be really, really good for years to come. Nijman was one of the Packers' best backup options for the tackle position and came in and played snaps when either Zach Tom, Rasheed Walker, or David Bakhtiari got injured. He played decently in 230 snaps, giving up 2 sacks on 10 pressures allowed and only committing 2 penalties. PFF graded him at 61.7 overall, 65.8 pass blocking, and 60.3 run blocking. I'm giving Yosh a grade of C as he was pretty solid when the Packers called on him to play. He is now a member of the Carolina Panthers after signing a 1-year deal with them this offseason. What could have been? That is the main question that many Packers fans are asking themselves after another year of David Bakhtiari's career was wiped out with complications with the same damn knee that he injured late in 2020 that cost him the majority of the past 3 years. He did end up playing in one game in 2023, the season opener against the Bears. He actually played really well that game, giving up no pressures and no penalties, and graded out really well by PFF. He got a 78.3 overall grade with an 89.9 pass blocking grade and a 68.6 run blocking grade. It just absolutely sucks that that was his last game in green and gold. David ended up being released before free agency, ending his time in Green Bay. I'm giving David a grade of F due to him not playing at all this year, but there is something poetic that his last game in the green and gold had him flipping off Bears fans in a blowout victory. I just so wish that things would have been different, as Bakhtiari was on a Hall of Fame level track before that knee injury. It was another not spectacular but decent season from Jon Runyan Jr. In his 4th season with the Packers, the Michigan product did not necessarily play the worst, but was far from being an above-average starter at the right guard position. There were times that he looked lost in run blocking, which led him to splitting reps with Sean Ryan later in the season. He gave up 2 sacks on 21 pressures and committed 6 penalties. PFF also didn't care too much for John's season, giving him an overall grade of 54.7, with a pass block game grade of 63.5 and a run block grade of 50.4. I'm giving John a grade of D+, as he really did not meet expectations we had for him. The Packers are going to have to replace his reps on the O-line with either Sean Ryan or through the draft, as Runyan signed a 3-year, $30 million deal to go to the New York Giants. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed the content, remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Next up in the series, we're going to go to our D linemen. That includes defensive tackles and defensive ends. Can't wait to see you then. Peace out.